But I think that this is particularly important in terms of the idea of reincarnation in Thelema, where the idea is, we are supposed to be identifying kings who are coming from past lives and figure out who they are and pinpoint them and pick them out, make sure that they have every opportunity to educate themselves as much as possible. Because if we really take reincarnation seriously, we have to look at children and what children exhibit these kind of behaviors and what children can potentially be developed into this. Crowley is very clear that it is part of the essential will of every child to develop into adulthood fully without any interference or deformity or someone placing something on them. That's because people, when it comes to the question of do what thou wilt, and Crowley's kind of he definitely says, it's okay if you need to harm someone or to obstruct them or to destroy them. The Book of the Law is very vicious about that, trample down the wretched and the weak. But Crowley makes it very clear, we're not talking about kids here. Kids have to have the opportunity to develop fully, and that's part of their true will. It has to be. It's part of every human being's true will. And part of what that means is not forcing kids to learn things they don't want to know or do things they don't want to do. Even if, and especially in the context of supposedly helping them or helping them develop. And this is really what our education system is doing right now. They're putting kids in situations that they don't want to be in and making them go through stuff they don't want to go through, which in many ways affects their character. I mean, I know many people, and I'm pretty sure everyone that I'm talking to knows many people who, were semi-traumatized by their school experience. And, it takes them years to get over shit like that. No one should have to go through that if it's not part of what they're doing. The idea is you give the people the opportunity to find out what they want to know, and those who want to know will find out. Those who don't won't. It's not complicated, really, but at the same time, it comes directly from the Book of the Law, which in one of the lines, which interestingly enough comes directly from the Book of Revelations, where it says, "Deem ye not of change." Don't try to uplift anyone, don't try to cast them down. And it is actually literally a direct quote from the Book of Revelations, which is one of the times where the connection between Thelema and that part of Christianity becomes the most clear. But we're not trying to the difference. And what I would say for Crowley's line in this, in Magic Without Tears, he says education, and this was actually an aphorism in British society. It's not really a line from Crowley, that an education should be a drawing out instead of a putting in. I'm not trying to put something into someone, I'm trying to find what's in them that they know how to do and help develop that and bring that out. And which is kind of the opposite of what we're doing right now, essentially. So, to determine the capacity of a student and to find that thing that we're trying to draw out in them requires a very specific skill on the part of the teacher. Anyone can memorize a bunch of facts and recite them in front of a bunch of students and then become supposedly a teacher. But actually, the quality, and I think that this gets lost when we talk about education a lot, that the most important quality a teacher can have is the quality of a performer. Because teaching has to be a performance. And if you're not capable of doing that, you can't really be an effective teacher. And when I use the analogy, as I did before, where Crowley's talking about the kids at Cafaloo and the ice cream, that's a performance. If you can't sell that, if it seems like you're trying to, if the kid picks up on the fact of what you're doing, then it's not going to work. And children are perceptive. They will see through things like this. So one has to be a very convincing performer to sell this kind of thing. And I think that it's very easy to lose that. I think everyone has teachers that they've had in their life at some point that did inspire them, that did make an impression on them, that made them want to learn. And those teachers you could probably put on stage somewhere, and they could put on a good show, And that's how you know how you have a good teacher, is they are essentially a performer. The problem is that what the barrier, and I mentioned this before, but I have to emphasize the barrier that we're running up against essentially comes from the media, and I always feel a bit like curmudgeonly when I complain about the media. I don't want to be, well, the media is evil, but it is. I mean, you know, it's a cliche. It's a total cliche to say this, but at the same time, it's also very true. If you're trying to sell dumb to everyone, then they're going to pick up on dumb. And, you know, I can't make clever references to cultural icons because I don't watch anything really on television. I mean, I could sit up here and talk about Jersey Shore, but I don't know anything about it. But at the same time, you know, you get the idea. People would rather watch something stupid than watch something intelligent, for by and large. And even the intelligent things tend to sell them morals and values and ideas that are inherently corrupt. If you see a very insightful, intelligent person on a television program, they are usually fundamentally flawed in horrible ways. They can't let someone get away with being, for example, intelligent, athletic, and good-looking. No, that kind of person just pisses everyone off who's in the audience because they're comparing themselves to this person. But the reality is, this is what we're shooting for. Like, we're shooting for someone who's well-rounded. I believe Crowley's ending line in the chapter on This Magic Without Tears is a little bit of everything and everything of something, which makes a great deal of sense. We can't. We have to have well-rounded people, but at the same time, at a certain point, you have to pick something that this is what I do, this is what I'm into, this is what I'm going to learn everything about. Dilettantes are not necessarily, you know, they're great at parties, they might have a good conversation. I like dilettantes in a casual, shallow sense, but you know, when you get into anything in depth, they're kind of out of their depth, and that's no good at all. So, not only does television and the media encourage dilettantism, but it also goes directly against what Crowley says about how we should educate, you know, especially babies. He says, you know, from the youngest age, they should be exposed to the finer things, to classical music, to great poetry, to great literature. Even if they don't understand it, they don't need to understand it. Just like let them hear the sound of it, put it in their brain, so that they pick up on it later, and they will press on it later. And he specifically says, we don't want, like, don't use baby talk, don't like use sing-song nursery rhymes, and that, which is literally the whole of children's programming, essentially, is this sing-songy, condescending, non-stimulating sort of, you know, visual morphine. And this, and this is not good for children's development, because if we take Crowley seriously when he says that he thinks that great poetry and great literature can make an impression on a child's brain that lasts forever, even if they don't understand it, well, the same is true of sing-song nursery rhymes and baby talk and crap like that. You know? And even if we think, you know, a very tiny child may be a very cute little thing, but if we're looking at a reincarnated king, the soul of that king may be greatly wounded by this kind of condescending speech. And this is something I think that's completely lost. I don't hear a lot of people talking about this aspect of Crowley's work, but I know it's paramount to Crowley's work. I'm jumping ahead of myself in my notes here, but I want to, because it's in my brain now. There's one exception. Crowley says, you know, we shouldn't be trying to convert people to Thelema, we shouldn't be trying to bring people into Thelemic organizations, but he makes an exception for one type of person. Just curious, anyone know who I'm talking about? Pregnant women. He says pregnant women, it's okay to try to recruit them. We want to try to bring them in so that the baby will be born into this situation. And I think he's really thinking seriously about the concept of reincarnation when he's saying this, because he's looking for Crowley's idea of reincarnation has very much the idea there's an eternal soul out there who's looking for an opportunity to play the game of existence, and looking for a way in. But if a pregnant woman becomes part of a Thelemic organization, that eternal soul looking to incarnate may find its way in. And he's looking to give it that, open the door to those eternal souls out there. Which means that he's taking this very seriously. I mean, to Crowley, reincarnation isn't like a model, it's not like a theory, it's not like an interesting way of looking at life or an explanation of life and death. No, to him, it's a machine of pushing Thelema forward, and it has to be looked at as such. It's not it's just a cute little idea that he has because to explain how death works